Welcome back to Hanging Out with a Guy at I Know a Guy Bicycles. I'm Justin, the guy. So, today we're going to go over I bought a fixer-upper, now what? Yeah, a lot of people get themselves into a situation where I bought this bike, or my buddy kind of forced it on me, or I don't know what to do with this extra bike in the garage, or whatever the case may be. A lot of times you come across a bike and needs a little bit of TLC. And instead of hauling all the way to the bike shop and paying or Uber's amount of money to fix it up, there's a few things you probably want to do at first. See if you can do it yourself. You can always try first. If it doesn't work, fail, and then take it to the shop and have, pay for somebody to fix it up. But first you want to do, I'm going to do an installment here of a couple different videos. First one is just assessing. Assessing what needs to be replaced or repaired or what might need work to be put into it. I do this with every bike that I purchase. Sometimes on spot, like, oh, I'm going to need a this and this and this. And I'll do those orders and get those parts in as soon as I can within a couple days. And then when I get time to get to the bike, I can actually have the parts ready, available. Or I might be able to stall it, get to a point where I just need those parts to come in and then quickly put those parts on and I'm completely done. So in any case, that's usually what I do is step one, kind of assess. So this is what we're gonna do. I usually go front to back for assessing. So you want to check the wheels, make sure they're smooth. If they're loose, you might need to have to do some adjustments and shoeing. Check the brake pads, see if the brake pads need to be replaced. I always check these shifters, and this one has a kind of a bum right shifter. This could be either several different things. One, it may just need to be cleaned. I have a sonic cleaner that is a simple green solution and a temperature that kind of breaks down this material or the gunk inside, and it helps clean up those pawls. That may be just all it is. Or it may need a couple parts, or it needs to be replaced completely. That will have to do the assessment once I kind of clean these and go through it. Bar tape, which I have on hand, but yeah, bar tape. The stem itself, this is an old style quill stem, which I'll do a series on stems later. But you can do a conversion, which you can convert it to a regular A headset system, which they have a lot more available sizes and lengths and so forth. So that might be something to consider to do that, which I have those in stock as well. If not, you need to buy those. They're like 20, 25 bucks, not that expensive. Then going through the frame, inspect it, but I can't really inspect the frame thoroughly in detail until I take all the parts off. Then I get into the drivetrain after I check the shifting. Now look at the derailleurs, and since I've been in the bike industry for such a long period of time, I know what parts were on this originally, but what's a great source is the internet. Trek has great archived bikes going back to, I think, 2003. Anything older than that, you have to kind of do more of a deeper search. But more in the last 20 years, you can probably find something on there or that particular brand's website. Spokes 99 is a good resource. Bicycle Blue Book is also another resource. The reason why you want to go that is kind of see what was on there originally from spec, and kind of like if I need to match, I might find something used like on eBay or whatever to replace it, or try to get into a part that may be a newer model, but it does fit this particular drivetrain or whatever part it needs to be. So a lot of things on road bikes specifically are kind of standardized for a long period of time. So even though you may not find this exact brake, you can probably find something that'll work even pretty inexpensively. So by looking at the drivetrain, I kind of inspect the derailleurs. I pull the chain off and also do a chain checker. The chain checker I get from Parks, which is the CC-1, and it has 0 to 0.1. You want this to be 0.5 or less, and you want to check in a couple spots because finding out that just one spot of the chain might vary. You'd think it's checked consistently throughout. Apparently not. So you want to check it in a couple spots. This one's at a 0.5, which is still in good shape, has some more life to it. When it gets to 0.75 or higher, then you want to replace it. And if it's 0.75 or 1, you want to replace this cassette as well. As I'm holding onto this cassette, it seems pretty loose. I want to double check that when I take that off. But I noticed this right off the bat when I picked up the bike, the rear derailleur. Well, first it's hyper extended out, so this does not look right whatsoever. And then the barrel adjuster part here is snapped off. Here's what the new one looks like versus, or not new, but you know, one that actually is supposed to be there. And the question's gonna be, did this little tab that stops the derailleur, did that break off? It looks like it did. And further inspection, is it just a tab or is it threaded? It looks like it might be threaded, but that's just to hold the derailleur in that relaxed position. This derailleur technically seems fine, but you know, I would see if I can get a tab in there to hold it. But once the chain is in there, that holding position, your derailleur's never in this rest position only when it's out of the box or off the derailleur, off the frame. It will always have a tension on it with some kind of chain. So, you know, if I put this back on there and it seemed to be fine in that position, I really don't technically need that tab, so it might function. I'll have to thread tap this part out here. And the reason I'm saying that is like, oh, this is a long cage and this is a short cage. I may not want to put a short cage with a replacement long cage, but let's take a peek. This is a double chain ring. A double chain ring usually takes a double, and this is a triple. So somewhere along the lines, this got put on there, or this was switched out to a double. Well, looking at the front derailleur, this is a double front derailleur versus a triple, and this is a double crankset. I think they threw this on there for one or two reasons. One, to get some extra chain slack coverage to do a bigger cassette, which they don't have on here currently, but maybe at some point somebody did. So this is where you get into scary units where, how many owners had this? What did they do with it? So instead of monkeying with a derailleur that's kind of all janked up, go ahead and fix this one up, which is almost fixed. I just need a jockey pulley, which I'll steal off of this guy. And boom, I got a derailleur that matches. It's the same vintage, same group set at that year, so good to go. So I don't need to buy anything there. The chain's good. Looking at these wheels, they look okay. They seem a little loose, but I take all the wheels off and trim them. But with this particular purchase, they had the original wheels. So a couple questions you want to ask yourself: why do they have another wheel set? Is it just because of weight and they want something nicer, which is a lot of the case? Or is there something wrong with these and they decided to upgrade this and they just, you know, like, oh, sweeten the pot, I'll throw in these wheels. And you're like, oh, okay, maybe that's a good deal, maybe it's not. The Roth wheels have been pretty solid. Over the years, we seem to hold up really well. So most likely it's just an upgrade. But again, I'll be cleaning these, going through them. The rubber on all this is kind of shot, so I'll be putting new tires on this as well. Cables and housing, of course. This was missing cables for the shifters, so I knew there was something going on there. And this seems a little bit tight here, and how this is laid out, like if you pull that too much, it binds up. You want that to be fluid. You don't want it to be a sharp turn. So you always want to cut your housing a little bit longer to accommodate different stem heights, or I do, because knowing that people may be changing it out. So that being said, that's my run through. Kind of double checking the bike. Extend your seat post out. Make sure you can see the height limit line. If it's cut, some people like to cut those seat posts to save a little bit of a weight, which is kind of baffling to me because you're not saving that much weight. But what you're doing is you're actually chopping a really nice seat post. And for the next rider, the next person that purchases the bike from you, this might need that length. So if you come across a seat post, which I have a handful of seat posts that people chop, they're junk, they're thrown, they're going to the recycler, because the safety, there's definitely a safe. You want to know how much seat post needs to be into that frame to make it safe for saddle height. So that's my initial assessment, assessing now what with a bike that I just purchased, and you know, a fixer-upper, especially in this case. In a lot of cases, you know, some cases out there you may not need to do so much detailing to get it to running and being safe. But in this case, I knew it was going to be a project and a chore. So hey, I figured share my experience there. And oh, also, I noticed the head tab was missing. They threw some, vintage sticker on there from Lance Armstrong days. I'll be taking this off. Not that I have anything against Lance Armstrong, anyway, but it wasn't the original head badge. So I ran and found some on eBay and got one on the way. So the time I finish this bike up, or when it's ready, I'll slap that head badge on there, brand new one, so it'll look almost good as new. So anyway, thank you for sharing your time, and until next time.